Hi there, and welcome to Mom Coach Wife. Today is Mompreneur Mondays, and I hope you missed me because this week we have not one, but two moms that we will be showcasing. In this particular video, we're going to be meeting Mary Clavieres of the Brief Transitions and the Transitions Collective. I absolutely love what Mary is doing with both of her brands to help mothers postpartum, but I don't want to dive too deep into it so that you can learn directly from Mary about what it is that she's doing and how she's making an impact on the world. If you are new to the channel, thank you so much for taking the time out to view this video. Be sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up if you like this video and hit that bell for notifications. If you've been here for a while, thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. And I look forward to sharing even more amazing moms with you in the future. Now, let's meet Mary. Hi, Mary. How are you today?
Hi, Elena. I'm great, thanks. How about you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be with me today for Mompreneur Mondays. I just wanted you to take a moment first and just tell everyone who you are and what it is that makes you more than just a mom.
Yes. So first, thank you for having me on the show.
For sure.
So my name is Mary Clavieres. I'm a mom of two little girls, and I live in the New Jersey area. I live in New Jersey, New Jersey area. I usually say New York, New Jersey area. So I have a couple of businesses. I'm the founder of Brief Transitions, which is postpartum mesh underwear for moms after they have a baby. Yep.
So important.
Yes. And I also run a community and consulting for mom business owners called the Transitions Collective. So motherhood has been a huge part of just me going on my path and shifting on my path, which I'm sure we're going to talk more about. So combining my businesses with motherhood is what has really been a passion of mine and part of my larger purpose and impact.
Awesome. I love how you are impacting moms and really in different stages of motherhood, especially hitting them right out the gate with those mesh underwear. So important.
Thank you.
It's just one of those things that we don't really get told when we become moms. It's like how we're going to leave the hospital, I know you have two girls, so you've experienced this twice, but I know for me, that first experience with my daughter was just kind of like, what do you mean? I'm basically wearing a diaper on the way out too.
It's crazy. So many things. I mean, there's like a balance, like something you don't want to know everything, I feel like, but I do also think we should know more than what we are told. So
yeah, I think if I knew everything, it would be like much scarier going into motherhood. But at the same time, like you said, knowing a little bit more would definitely have us a lot more prepared.
I think so too.
So Mary, what was it that specifically inspired you to start a business for mesh underwear? And then you said the Transition
Collective.
And then the Transition Collective. What were your two inspirations for each of those?
Yeah, so Brief Transitions is what I started first, which is the mesh underwear. And I started that after the birth of my first daughter because I got the mesh underwear in the hospital. And everyone tells you, steal the mesh underwear, take more home with you because you won't be able to buy them. So sure enough, my best friend told me that, and I got extras. And then I ran out and I had my mom go to the store to try to find me something, because I had a C-section and I was still recovering and my underwear didn't fit me. And she couldn't find any. So I had to she brought me home the biggest granny panties she could find. This goes into a lot of TMI. We're going to have so much fun. And I literally had to cut into the waistband, like the elastic, because it was digging into my swollen midsection. So I ended up, I said, like, these underwear exist, but why can't we have them for ourselves? Like, why don't women have the products they need postpartum? It's kind of ridiculous and very frustrating. So that's kind of what set me on that path. Now, before I started doing this full time, I had spent about 15 years in pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Okay.
Working on process improvements and transformations and evaluating manufacturing sites. So with some manufacturing background, I said, like, why don't I just bring these to market? Like, how hard can it be? It turns out it's a lot more complicated than that, but still that was kind of the starting point or the launching point for me, because I said, we deserve to have more than we do right now. And I think that's why we see a lot of women, as they become moms, they start businesses that are geared towards moms, because it's such an unmet need in the marketplace across, for so many different things.
100%.
Yeah. And then as I was building Brief Transitions, I was, juggling my corporate job. Then I had my second daughter and trying to, build this business on the side. And I was really looking for a support system, because a lot of my friends that had, regular 9 to 5s, they couldn't relate to what I was doing, or why I was working at night or on the weekend, or why I had this passion and drive to do something else. And so I started the Transitions Collective, because I said, hey, like, is anyone else out there trying to build a business and raise a family and going through all these things? And that's how it happened, very organically, starting in the town where I live, and has kind of grown from there into a membership and other programs and services.
Awesome. So how long have you been doing each of these? Because I know it sounds like they've both grown quite significantly. And your oldest child, I know when you first signed up, she was 7. So yeah. I don't know if she's had a birthday since then.
Yeah, no, she just had her birthday in December. So she's 7 now. Yep.
Oh, okay.
And my younger daughter is 4.5. So I started Brief Transitions, probably like, it was also my first kid, right? So like probably like 6 months after I had her, I was just kind of thinking, like, why aren't these available? What would it look like? And really exploring it as a possibility, but very, very, very part-time. So it was really much more like, well, can I find these somewhere? Can I find a manufacturer that makes them? And then, put out some inquiries and then wait a few months. Like, I wasn't really working on it as a full business. It didn't start out that way at all. So over a couple of years, I grew that until I launched it in 2017. Okay. Was when I launched the underwear. And I launched the community shortly after that, first as like a free community of local meetups, just to kind of get to know some other people. And then eventually in 2019, the years blur together after a while, in 2019 as a membership.
Okay. So both of them kind of started as like trial and error, just kind of seeing how you were going to do it, a little R&D here and there, and just blossomed into something beautiful.
Yes. It was definitely over time and kind of like, by accident in a way.
Sometimes that's the best way for it to happen, that unexpected thing that just blows up. So obviously becoming a mom gave you a lot of passions about motherhood. Now, coincidentally, we are both girl moms. And I know obviously like my brand is specifically mommy focused, as you stated earlier, because when you become a mom, you see all the holes and the support that we have as mothers. So being a girl mom, I know I can speak for myself. A lot of what I do is to hope that when my daughter becomes a mother, if she chooses to do so, that she has different resources available to her and a different understanding of motherhood than I did. So do you have any specific motivations of what you want your girls to learn or be able to have because of the businesses that you've created?
Yeah, it's the same. It's very much like I want them to be able to do what they want to do and not be held back from that and really believe in themselves, I see like, and I can't compare it to boys because I don't have any boys, but I see the confidence of little girls kind of, it erodes pretty quickly when they like start school and everything. And you know, my main goal is to just kind of keep them engaged and wanting to learn and not feeling bad if they're struggling, you know, to really kind of keep at things.
Mhm.
And in terms of like what I want them to be able to do, I want them to really think big and do what they want to do and not feel like they have a lot of barriers, you know, against them. That's the that's the main thing. And really just to be curious. I mean, my daughters ask sometime, especially with the underwear, because I used to roll and pack and like fill orders out of my house.
Mhm.
And so they would say, Mommy, I want to help with the underwear. And so I'd let them kind of, you know, roll some on the side. I'd give them some bags, put some labels and answer their questions. You know, they would ask, what am I doing? What do I do it for? You know, what do I do next? So I kind of like explain the process of having a business. I don't know how much they pick up, but you know, I feel like it's worth it to try.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like that. So the last thing that you said is not knowing how much they pick up. I feel like a lot of times they pick up a lot more than we realize.
Yeah.
There's been like countless times when my daughter picks up the phone and I'm like, "What are you doing?" "I'm talking to my client," and I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So it's these like the littlest things will just like show up and you're like, oh, you were actually, you know, paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to that. So I definitely think that your girls are really seeing this, and you never know when they're 7 now, so 15, 20 years down the road they decide to have children and they know what mesh underwear are. Like
Yeah.
they have that preparation that, you know, luckily you had a friend that told you. Nobody told me about the mesh underwear until
Yeah.
I was in the hospital room, and it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And depending on the hospital, sometimes they're very stingy. They do not give you extras.
Oh yeah, we
Depends on the
definitely like
place.
had to sneak extras. I hope I'm not like incriminating myself by that, but
My husband always told me, he's like, you shouldn't say the word steal. You steal the underwear. I'm like, okay, it's an
well, it
expression. I
wasn't
mean,
borrowed because I definitely wasn't gonna return.
yeah, yeah. It depends. It depends on the place. Like some nurses, they'll give you a whole stack. They'll say, like, take everything that's here on your table, you know, like on your little cart. And then
Right.
but I've had women tell me, you know, my hospital did not give me any extras. They didn't let me take any home and I couldn't find them. So
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah, I got a lot of extras, and I had a great mom and mother-in-law that helped me.
Yeah. We need so much
So
support.
yeah,
It's a lot.
it was definitely helpful. But yeah, so you started this amazing business to help moms out, to broaden that message that we even need these mesh underwear in the first place, and then that when we start businesses that there's a transitional period that we have. So you're really supporting moms regardless of where they are, whether they're entrepreneurs or not, to be able to kind of blossom in their motherhood. So did you always see yourself as a mom when before you had your first child? Was that something that you already envisioned or?
Um, I guess I kind of figured that I would be a mom, but I never really like spent a lot of time thinking about it, to be honest. It was just kind of like, okay, at some point I'll have kids, but it wasn't something that I you know, when I first graduated from college, like I was very much like, you know, growing my career and like, okay, I want to, you know, do all of these things and live different places. I did some assignments for work and things like that. So it wasn't really like top of mind, but then later, you know, after I got married and stuff, it was kind of like, okay, now I'm kind of feeling like, you know, maybe it's time.
Okay, so it kind of just like worked its way into your life of being like, okay, I've gotten to a place where I'm comfortable now to
Yeah.
really give
Mm-hmm.
it some thought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now you've mentioned your career a couple of times. What did you do before you were a mompreneur?
Yeah, so I worked in pharmaceuticals, in manufacturing, and spent a good portion of the time in packaging and labeling. And then, because I'm a packaging engineer by study, I don't know what to say for that. Like, that's what I studied in school, got my degree in. And then from there, I kind of worked my way into change management and transformation. So I was doing a lot with our manufacturing sites on how to optimize product processes. So a lot with productivity, but not only the manual aspects of it, but really the mindset. So I worked with leadership teams on how to change the culture, how to have a different mindset and behaviors around how we operate as a team, how we operate as a company. So a lot of the people development piece as well.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like that really ties into what you do now in a lot of different ways. At least I'm always looking for the way that things start to connect. And it sounds like you were in a career that directly impacted what you kind of do now, and helping people with, I mean, because with the Transition Collective, you're definitely helping people to change their mindsets and understand what the process is to transition from the workforce into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a great observation and takeaway. Yeah, I use more of those things than I, notice or realize.
Yeah, and that's why it's always like curious. I'm always curious to find out, like, what did you do before you were a mompreneur? Because oftentimes there's something there that directly correlates to what we do today. Like, I wanted to be a journalist. That's what I went to school for. And here I am interviewing people.
Definitely. So there you go. Yes.
So I didn't really think about it then. And I think my husband was the one that kind of like connected those dots. He was like, you're right. I didn't really think about it. It's just, I decided I wanted to do this. I put it out there. People were like, yeah, let's do it. So I said, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really interesting to see how those things connect. Now, getting into motherhood, we all know at this point, at least if people have been watching the series, that motherhood is a huge transition. Whether you're a mom watching or you're not a mom watching, I hope that you at least learned that at this point. So Mary, how was that transition for you, having your first child and then deciding within 6 months of having your first baby that you were going to start the processes of, at least, of starting a business? How were you able to balance that?
So yeah, the short answer for when I became a mom was that it was literally, I say, like, personally and professionally, life-changing for me, literally, because it changed everything about my work and my life and my family. And my recovery. So my recovery specifically was something that I had a hard time with because I wasn't expecting it to be so challenging. I had an emergency C-section, and so there was just a lot in there that I didn't know or realize, like we said in the beginning, about what people expect or don't expect, or what people tell you or don't tell you. So that really kicked things off for me. So for a while, I was just trying to get used to that, So there was a long, like, postpartum recovery period for me. And then in terms of like how it started me to have the business, I think it was mainly around the fact that I was feeling like there's this product there that we can't really get access to, but we need access to. So how can I help other moms get it? Like in the beginning, I was just like, oh, it would just be fun to bring these to moms, like to help other people, because I really felt a sense of like, I need to pay this forward to other women, kind of thing. And that's how it first developed for me, until I saw like, okay, well, this could actually really be something. It could be something on a bigger scale. And I never really thought about owning my own business. I was very much like climbing the, corporate ladder. And then I just, between having that dream and wanting to do that, plus needing more flexibility, it all kind of just tied together at the end of the day.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that, because motherhood is such a transition in your personal life. I think that it always kind of affects professional life in some way or another.
Yes.
Maybe more for some than others, but especially the flexibility. I totally get you there. That was a major thing for me, was flexibility. Luckily, when I was working, I was at a place that was super flexible.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're not in a place that's flexible with a newborn, that can be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever experience, whether it was while you were working your corporate job or once you became an entrepreneur, did you ever experience any sort of mom guilt? And if you did, what were some of the things that helped you like process that? Because I know that's something that moms truly struggle with. And a reason that I get oftentimes why moms either A, don't start their own business, or B, don't go and do things for themselves because they later feel guilty about it.
Yeah. Mom guilt is huge. It's very real. And I mean, I understand it's a reality that we have it, but I also, of course, hate that we have it, because we just, I mean, there's so many factors, right? There's so many different layers to it, but there's so much guilt that either society or that we put on ourselves, and all these expectations. I had a lot of mom guilt around the fact that I traveled for my job. Mm-hmm. So my corporate job, and when I had my first daughter, like, they were very supportive and everything was very flexible, even into having my second daughter. But like a couple years into that, my role had changed and I had to travel a lot more often. Mm-hmm. So before I eventually left my corporate job, and that was in the spring of 2018, I was traveling almost every week. I was kind of like an internal consultant for our company. And so like, you know, I would be gone like 3 weeks out of the month, like gone like Sunday night to like Thursday night or Friday morning, you know, Sunday night or Monday morning until like Thursday night or Friday morning, depending where I was traveling to. And it just became really just unsustainable. And that's, I think, where I had the most of my guilt, was being away for stretches of time, especially as my daughters got older. I didn't feel as bad when they were babies, because I mean, I still felt bad, but not the same way, because they didn't really realize that I wasn't there, you know, right. They couldn't communicate it. But I felt really guilty when my older daughter started crying when I would leave. And then I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Yeah, that's really rough. Like to have to watch your little one cry, and you still have to make the decision to go and to go to work, you know.
Yeah.
Thing that they don't always understand. So yeah, I could definitely see mom guilt from having to go through that. Now, another thing that I know some moms go through, not all, but I know some moms go through mom guilt because of mom shaming. Did you ever experience that from whether it be friends and family, or like people that people that we don't even know?
Yeah.
A way of
mom are the worst. Yeah.
So,
you know, like I'm sure I had stories like that here and there. They don't really come to mind so much. What comes to mind for me more is like my own pressure that I put on myself. Mm-hmm. Like I put so much pressure on myself and so many expectations around like, okay, I'm going to breastfeed, right? I really want to breastfeed. It's great for the baby. Like I want to do this, right? But my first daughter, she had trouble with that. I saw lactation consultants. She wasn't latching. Then she wasn't transferring the milk. I tried all these different things. I ended up pumping. So I would pump. I pumped exclusively for 6 months. And I was just like looking back, I'm like, what was I doing? I was like putting all this pressure on myself, these expectations of like, I have to do this because this is what's best for my baby. When really what's best for your baby is for you to have less stress and for you to like be present and feel well. But, you know, there's so many hormones that go into it. So I think like some of that comes to mind for me more, my own pressure, like self-pressure and expectations. Now, I get some of that. Probably it comes to me through society, right? And through these different things that we hear or see. And that was, I mean, my first daughter was born in 2013. So, you know, the social media landscape wasn't what it is now, you know, and it's
definitely,
and it's like a lot harsher now. I mean, there's great spaces and it's so supportive and like resources like yours, for example. But then there's like the dark side of it where, you know, people kind of get like ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah, it's very unfortunate. I see a lot of mom shaming, and that's why I started to ask moms about that and their own experience. I've experienced it very mildly, so I never really, like, even like how you said, I didn't really think much of it. But yeah, I didn't realize until talking to other moms and even seeing some things, like how much people rip mothers apart because they're not doing motherhood in the way that they think motherhood should be. And unfortunately, like, a lot of them don't even have children.
Yes.
And
yes.
and I that blows my mind, because I'm like, you don't even know what it's like to have a child. And it's no disrespect, I know some of them may not be able to have children, and I sympathize with that. I get that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But I also look at it like, also sympathize with moms who have to figure out how to still be human.
Right.
Some of us wives, some of us not. So you have that. So if you're dating, you have the whole dating world to focus on. If you're single, you have the fact that you're the only parent in the household. If you're married, you have a relationship to nurture. Like, there's always so many different things that are a part of being a mom, first and foremost, and then being a woman, have all the other relationships. And then some of us decide we also want to have a career or a business. So our lives aren't going to look the same, right? Like,
right.
If someone was to dissect how I raise my daughter versus how you raise your daughter, it's probably going to be very, very different.
Yeah, I've had that before. Actually, I remember a story. We were on an airplane going on a trip, and the couple that sat next to us, they kind of gave us this look because we were there with my younger daughter, and the woman, like, it was a couple, a husband and wife, older, and the woman looked over. I was talking to the husband because he was sitting right next to me, and the woman looked over, and then I heard her whisper loudly to the husband, like, don't talk to them. And I'm like, you don't want to talk to us because we have a kid here? And then later I come to find out they're grandparents, and I'm like,
and you never know why someone's on. You were on a flight, right?
Yeah.
You never, like, you guys could have been moving. You could have been going to a wedding or a funeral. In this, like, you don't know why this family is on a flight.
Like, right? Like, who? Like, and like, people are allowed to fly with kids too. Like, it's just, like, I don't know. There's some of that, like, kindness and compassion is really missing, especially in air travel, I think.
100%. Now, I will admit that before having a child, I was totally guilty of this, because it also comes from an ignorance. And I was mostly guilty of this in the grocery store. I hated hearing kids scream in the grocery store. I'm like, get your kid under control. Like, I was totally that person. And although my daughter's pretty good, like, she doesn't usually freak out or like have a tantrum or anything like that. But she's had enough at home where I've just been like, you know what, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're at your what's in with it. And I remember having this, like, realization of, like, that's the mom in the grocery store.
Right.
That kid's been working her nerves
right.
all day, and she doesn't care anymore.
Yeah. But still, I bet you didn't go up to people and tell them to, like, keep their kid quiet, or, like, don't talk to them because they, like, those kind, like, that's like taking it to another level. But I completely understand, because I felt that way too. Yeah.
I've the most that I've ever done is, like, if I was, like, in line with that person, they were, like, in front of me, I'd make, like, silly faces at the kid and try to get them to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's helpful.
But beyond that, like, I wouldn't be like, hey, get your kid, or, like, tell my family, like, don't engage with them, they're can't handle their child. Like, I would never do that. But I was definitely that person that was, like, in my head judging and being like, what are you doing? Same. But yeah, you live, you learn. But the one thing that I was always very cautious about was what I said to people even before becoming a mom, because I didn't know enough about human life and the varieties to know, like, hey, I don't really know what's going on other than the fact that this kid is screaming, or I don't know why. And then I think right around the time where I was, like, old enough to start forming my opinions around that, I also was learning about autism. and other learning disabilities, and finding out that I don't know if this kid has a disability that they're working with, and something could have triggered that, and now they're screaming through the store, like, you know. And as you learn more, it helps to not be as judgmental about what's going on with someone else, to have a little bit more compassion, because you never really know. I mean, sometimes they are just really bad kids that just like to scream in the store.
Yep. Yeah. And then I feel bad for those parents and say like, yeah.
But I think like definitely having that compassion and reducing the amount of shaming that we do in the motherhood community, especially amongst moms.
Amongst moms, yes. Like why are we doing that?
Yeah, like you struggle with your kid too.
Yeah, it's right. Like nobody's perfect. Everyone's doing the best they can. Like no one's showing up and saying, I'm going to be the worst mom I can be today.
Yeah.
We're not doing that.
I haven't met that mom.
What'd you say?
I said, I haven't met that mom.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I woke up with the goal to be a horrible mom today.
Yeah. Like, so yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for diving a little bit deeper with me on that about mom guilt and mom shaming, because I think those are two really big issues with motherhood and with moms when we interact with each other, even is going through that. Now, to talk a little bit more about you and your family, what are some of the things that you really enjoy to do with your girls and with your husband?
So great question. We've probably experimented with a lot of this during the global pandemic. I think the thing that I found now that they're getting a little bit older, the thing that I like more is being able to go outside with them. We try, when the weather is good, we try to go on long walks, or, you know, we live like 30-40 minutes from the beach. So like we'll go like on a day trip and just spending time outside, because I realized like being outside is very helpful for me. It like renews me and gives me energy, and they also enjoy it. So I feel like it's something that, you know, we can do together that I like to do. And we do play a lot of games and stuff. My younger daughter especially is into like, you know, dominoes or what, you know, whatever it is, like a lot of games like that, or like Guess Who or board games or whatever. So we spend time on those too. And puzzles also. We've done quite a few puzzles during quarantine, and those were really fun. I try to do things with them that I like too, because then I know that I'll be showing up better for it, versus like when they ask me to play with them, like with their toys and the imagination stuff, I try to leave that to them, because they know what they're doing there. Like they like to have it their way. They end up just telling me what to do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's just do something else instead, and you can play that together, and I will do other things during that time. So yeah,
that's the one thing where like I kind of wish my daughter had like another sibling to do those kinds of things with. I'm good with imagination. Like I'm good. I will get down there and joke and play with her, but she is bossy. So it's like, no, you don't do it that way. I'm like, why did you ask me to play with you?
Yes. Like you just asked me to play with you, and now you're telling me exactly what to do with each of the pieces that you gave me. I'm like, I can't do that. Yeah.
That part drives me nuts. And it's funny because when we take her to, we have like a kids center in our gym, and we take her there, and it doesn't seem like she does that to the other kids. Like,
correct.
She's totally fine with them imagining and playing however they want to. She wasn't always like that, but she's fine with that. But if I get on the floor and try to play and pretend with her, it's like, it's all these rules. And I'm like, I don't like this.
Everything's different for moms. Basically.
So yeah, I don't know. She probably feels the same way when I lay down rules for her. She's like, oh, probably pay back.
Exactly. That's probably why they do it. Yeah, I think so too.
So we like going outside, playing games and whatnot. What's something that Mary likes to do just for Mary that has nothing to do with anyone else, nothing to do with business, just for your self-care?
Yeah. Even just sitting by myself and talking to no one.
Silence is golden.
Yeah. For me, I love, especially over this past year, I've picked up a love of writing and just journaling in general. So not any kind of formal writing, but just having time quietly in my space to write my thoughts, I found very helpful. And now I crave to do it. If there's a day where I miss it, I feel it, you know? Um, and I also love reading. I love a lot of quieter activities, I guess, all kinds of books. I mean, whether it's like fun books or business books or whatever. Um, but yeah, reading and journaling are two of my big go-tos.
Nice. Things that are nice and quiet.
Yeah, maybe because there's so much noise all the rest of the time that I need something that's a lot more,
Yeah.
subdued.
Believe me, I get it. Our daughter just turned 4, and the noise is like nonstop.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got double trouble. So
the same. They either keep each other busy and they play for a while together, or it's like they're not so agreeable. And then so they're noisy when they're together, and they're together getting along, and they're noisy when they're not getting along. So
yeah. So it's always noise. So yeah, yes. I know for my husband and I, it's always that joy when bedtime's coming. We're like, okay, it's bedtime.
Yeah. Right. Oh yeah, no, I know.
That little bit of time of silence.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, is it time for bed? Yeah, it's that kind of.
So I get it. We love some quiet time as mom. So that is a great way to take care of yourself a little bit and just be able to unwind. So you run your business now, pre-pandemic and in the midst of a pandemic, kind of going back to your business a little bit here. What were some of the different struggles that you've experienced in business before and then after the pandemic, and how have you overcome some of those hardships?
Yeah, so let me think. Something I'd say for brief transitions, it happened with Transitions Collective too, but maybe not as much. As the business grew, getting the support structure in place, that was kind of hard to identify and figure out okay, what type of support do I need? Because now I can't do this all by myself anymore. Yeah. So letting go of some of those things, and hiring people to help me, but really understanding where are the parts of my business that it will make the most impact, I'd say that happened in Transitions Collective too, but differently since it's not a product business. And then the other thing I would say is something just generally I've struggled with, especially since I didn't feel in the beginning that I even was starting out having a business, right? Boundaries has been a big thing for me. And I know sometimes it feels like a buzzword in some ways, but really the journey of learning and understanding that you don't have to react to everything from everyone else. Mm-hmm. And you can put a structure in for yourself, and that's okay. Actually, you have to if you want to be successful, if you want to grow and do different things, it's necessary. So being a lot more, I don't want to say strict, but aware of my time and where I spend it. Because in the beginning, I was just kind of doing everything or saying yes to every opportunity. And now it's much more I have to evaluate it first and see what is the goal or objective from doing this, and what do I hope. It's not always to get something out of it, but in a lot of ways it is, whether it's growth. It doesn't have to be financial. It can be personal growth or some new learning or something, but really paying attention to that. And I see a lot of women struggle in that area, just because I think we're naturally givers and helpers, but then we're also, even more so being moms. And again, there's some layers of complexity with that, with society and everything and all the expectations. So there's a lot of undoing and unlearning that has to happen in all of that. And that's something that I've definitely experienced over the years.
Nice. Yeah, to that last one, I think, like you said, yeah, boundaries can be quite a buzzword, but it is something that that is a struggle of creating those boundaries, and then having that flexibility to change them as you grow and as you adapt. And yeah, I think that you're right. 100% women are more, at least in my experience, are more prone to having issues with the boundaries. Mm-hmm. And as far as society, the society portion of it, because we already know all the natural sides to it, I feel like it's this thing of like, if we put up the boundaries, then there's always like this resistance from others of like, no, you're not supposed to tell me no, or you're supposed to do this, or you're being a B if you're doing this, that, the other. And it makes it kind of difficult to choose boundaries when you have this thing in the back of your head of like, people aren't going to like me if I choose this boundary, or people aren't going to respect me, or what have you. Because ultimately, I mean, most of the time people want to be liked and respected. I mean, I don't know too many people who are like, I don't want anybody to like me.
Right. But in some ways, like holding the boundaries, like we have to be willing to like let go of some of that, because that's how people encroach, right? Like we have to be okay with some people not liking us
100%.
Like, in order for it to work. And people will always try to push the boundaries. It's up to you to keep them, it's not their fault if they push and like you let them in, like, and then you get mad after, that's like, okay, well, you didn't hold your boundary, like that's what I realized even for myself. If there's something that I'm kind of thinking like, no, I don't usually do that. And then I give in and say, okay, well, this one time. And then later I find myself being bitter. Like, why did I do that? Well, it's because I let them through the boundary.
Right. And that's usually what ends up happening, right? Like usually when you let up on that boundary, it comes back and bites you. I saw, it's kind of a funny one. It's not, it's not super serious, but I saw a meme earlier today that was like this guy that was looking really irritated, and it was like the way you feel when you're an introvert, but you have to show up for plans you made last week when you were in a good mood. Annoyed. And I'm like, but it's the same thing with boundaries, right? Like you let up on it, and you good and well, like when you actually have to deliver on it, or when you get done, it's going to be extremely exhausting and stressful, and it ends up really being better in the long run most times to just stick to that boundary.
Yes, definitely. Like there's a reason you came to having that boundary in the first place.
Exactly.
So trust that.
Exactly. So I want to ask you my two fun questions now. Sure. So the first one is fun, but it's also typically a little bit of work for us to get to an answer. And I say us because I went the cheap way out, and I just named the book after my business. But the question is, if there was a book written about your life, what would you name it and why? And if you want to take that same cheap way out, I tell moms all the time, go ahead, that's fine. That's what I did.
Okay. Yeah. Right. It would be something about transitions for sure, and something about change, because I mean, I feel so passionately about that on so many levels. So, I might not be able to give you a full working title, but something around change and transitions in motherhood, or in motherhood and beyond, because it's it's a big part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, okay, that's not bad for me, because I had no idea. I was like, what am I going to say?
That's what I said. Like, just go for it.
Yeah.
Then when the book actually comes out, you can always come back to it and say, what did I say? Yeah. So the one that's most fun for me is where I get to pretend to be a genie. So imagine you just found a little mom coach wife genie lamp, and you rub it and out I pop. You get 3 wishes. The only rule to the 3 wishes is that you cannot wish for more wishes. Other than that, you can wish for whatever. I am also sometimes a very helpful genie. So if there's loopholes in your wish, I may interject a little bit, but.
Okay. So I'm supposed to think of 3 wishes?
Yeah, 3 wishes.
Okay. About business, or does it
whatever
matter?
You want. Personal, business, kids,
okay.
Society, whatever.
How much time can I have to pause here? Let me think.
As you want.
Yeah. Let me think. In terms of business, any marketing, it's not exactly a question, but anything in this space, I guess, is what I'm asking, is like fun marketing ideas.
Yeah.
Because that's something that I feel like is not my zone, especially for brief transitions. So spreading the word and raising the awareness and getting the impact.
Okay, so this is where I help with loopholes. So is this like unlimited fun marketing ideas, or is it just like I send you some fun marketing ideas and then you're done? Remember, I'm a genie, so you can wish for whatever you want.
Yeah, great question. Fun marketing ideas and then implementing them. I don't know.
So we can wrap that all into one. So we've got unlimited fun marketing ideas and implementation.
Right. Right. Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, it can be a certain number of marketing ideas. It doesn't have to be totally unlimited. What else can I think of? I'm a little bit stuck. Let me think. It can just be like questions.
No, it's just a wish, like whatever you want to wish for. Like if you were like, I wish, like one lady wished for an island. She wanted her own. It was mommy island. Okay. So like you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be a question. It can
Okay. Right, got it. I don't know why I was so delayed there. Okay, my second one would be a private jet. So there we go.
Yeah.
I even had that wish before COVID, but it makes a lot more sense now with COVID.
Social distancing, best way to do it.
Traveling safely, yeah. Yeah, my in-laws and a lot of my husband's family are in France. So it's important to me for us to be able to see them. And that's kind of how I envision that happening. Cool. And then what would be my third one? My dream at home is to have someone to cook the meals and also clean the house. Totally. So a house genie.
Yes. So we've got a house genie, cooking and cleaning. So that's less like day-to-day housework. Totally with you on that one. Private jet, again with you. And we've got a large number of marketing ideas and implementation.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. If I was a real genie, I would totally make that happen for you, Mary. Unfortunately, I'm not.
Thank you.
But I always just want to see like how different some of the wishes are.
Yeah, I love that.
So I think that
I love that.
I wanted to get a better idea of who you are and what's important to you, even if it's just in this moment. Because I've had moms where like when we go live, then like their wishes are a little different because something may have changed.
Right. Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, those are pretty good ones for me. Yeah.
Sweet. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up because I think we're getting close to having chatted for an hour. Time goes so fast when I'm talking to mamas. Yeah. But go ahead and tell everyone, Mary, how it is that they can connect with you online, and also what areas your business services do you ship internationally, or are you nationally only? And once you've told everyone how they can connect with you or support your business, then go ahead and leave us with like one final message that you want your audience, or technically in this case my audience, to know about what you do.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So for brief transitions, well, I already lost my train of thought. Oh yes. Okay. So for brief transitions, we're on brieftransitions.com, and we ship domestically in the US and then also to Canada.
Okay.
And any special inquiries out internationally can just email us and we make that happen too. And we're also on Amazon. So for any Amazon shoppers. And then for the Transitions Collective, I'm online. I'm on Instagram at the Transitions Collective, and also the transitionscollective.com. And I do have so that the community, I'll back up. So for Brief Transitions, it's really for anyone after having a baby or surgery. I've been finding more and more that women are reaching out and purchasing because they have any kind of surgery that like they need loose and stretchy underwear afterwards, like even hysterectomies or endometriosis or other things. And then for the Transitions Collective, it's mainly for moms building businesses from the ground up while raising kids, and really any stage of business. And I do have a workbook. I don't remember if I told you about that, but I have a workbook for anyone that's interested, and I can give you the link because it's special for your group. The transitionscollective.com/Elena Michelle. You just put a hyphen in there, Elena-Michelle. So I'll get you the link, but it has a lot of kind of things that we talked about today with like exploring the self and home and business. There's a business scorecard in there. So if anyone kind of wants to evaluate where they are or where they're going, it's a nice tool and resource for that.
Sweet. Thank you.
And yeah, and for, what I would like to say to take away, is just, I'd say if I could tell any mom, a new mom, or, mom that's been around a while, just to give yourself grace and be kind to yourself, because we're usually our toughest critic, and we should try really not to live that way. We need all the love and support that we can get. So it should start with us and also with our supportive friends and family and our network.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary, for joining me today. Thank you for that added resource. So everyone who is interested in that resource is going to be linked in the description below, so you can go and check that out. I will also make it accessible on my website so that people can download that. So yeah, thank you so much for spending time with me today, and we will be live again. I forgot the date. Mom brain, guys. We're live April 19th, which is when you guys are watching this, not when I record this. I think I've told people that already. So live April 19th on Instagram at Mom Coach Wife at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you guys check in with us on Instagram and learn even more about Mary. If you're watching this after April 19th, that's fine. This video, as well as the Instagram live, will be up for the life of my profiles. So you can check it out at any time and learn more, as so many amazing moms. Again, thank you, Mary, for being a part of the series, and I'll see you live on Instagram.
Great. Thank you so much, Elena. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.